On Lion Mountain, the resurgence of spiritual energy caused unrest among the ferocious beasts. Anna runs as fast as she can to escape her pursuers, who are overtaking her. One of the soldiers, afraid of missing the girl, raises his rifle and shoots. The commander shouts at the soldier, fearing that the noise might provoke the animals. As expected, a huge, ferocious mutant boar appears behind the soldiers. The bullet hit the animal right in the fang, causing a fit of wild rage. Realizing that the only way to survive is to kill the boar, the commander loads the grenade launcher. The grenade hits the boar, but does not inflict a scratch on it. The rage of the beast reaches critical limits. Suddenly, a monstrous roar is heard at the very top of the mountain, the sound wave from which destroys everything in its path. A mighty golden lion, the king of beasts and lord of the Lion Mountain, appears on the mountain. The soldiers, seeing a huge lion, are amazed at its size and the energy emanating from it. Raising their weapons, the military begins to shoot randomly, hoping to hit the king of beasts. The lion makes a powerful jump, and a second later, finding himself on the ground, throws the soldiers to the sides with powerful blows. A few moments later, practically nothing remains of the military men who disturbed the peace. Leo examines his paw and realizes that he is practically unable to control his strength. Chris was an ordinary orphan guy who at some point decided to become an unofficial mercenary. One day, he accidentally ended up in this place and became a werewolf, turning into a golden lion. Chris can't figure out what's wrong with his system. No matter what he does, his power constantly increases. The lion asks his were-parrot what happened to the girl who was being hunted by the military. The were-snake says that the girl was thrown straight into the center of the animal stream by the shockwave. Anna lies on the ground, wounded and trampled by hundreds of paws of angry animals. Chris sees that the girl is dead, but her body is still full of spiritual energy. Lev directs his spirit at Anna, and suddenly she begins to turn into a ghost. After a while, Chris realizes that the girl can't calm down and says that if she doesn't want to be a ghost, she can simply reincarnate. Wendy, the candle demon, tries to calm down the ghost girl and says that the king is not evil at all, but just a little straightforward. The girl explains that the lion shared his spirit with Anna so that the girl's soul would not be scattered. Wendy says that at one time she became a demon in the same way, but relying only on the power of the king is not enough. There are two conditions for becoming. The first condition is a personal predisposition to formation. The second condition is that Anna must have strong enough motivation. Wendy asks the girl to tell her what happened to her and why the soldiers were chasing her. Anna says that she lived in a village at the foot of the Lion Rock. From the moment of the revival of spiritual energy, people from the village began to disappear one after another. 9 days ago, armed people burst into the village, rounded up all the remaining residents, and led them into the forest. The military forced people to go straight into the fog, to a place from which no one had yet returned. Finding themselves in the fog, the residents walked for some time, and then terrible changes began to happen to them. People were used as guides. All the locals disappeared after wandering around for a while in the fog. Finally, it was Anna's turn. She walked straight into the fog at gunpoint aimed at her. The fog had some kind of hallucinogenic effect. At some point, the girl saw her parents and unconsciously went to them. Then Anna fell into a hole, which in her opinion, the military was looking for. In the hole lay a sarcophagus and a strange flower grew. The girl decided that she could not allow the military to finish what they started. She could not destroy the sarcophagus, so she decided to eat the flower. Suddenly, Anna's body became light, and her eyes seemed to have acquired the ability to see in the dark. Soon the military came and, using cables and a helicopter, lifted the sarcophagus and took it away. But suddenly one of the civilians began to shout that he also needed the flower. Without it, he would not pay the soldiers a penny. Deciding that it was Anna who stole the flower, the military rushed in pursuit of the girl. Chris speculates that Anna only became a ghost because she ate the flower. The girl's motivation for becoming a leader is very strong. She longs to take revenge on her offenders. Leo understands that he needs to figure everything out. After the revival of energy, people went crazy, and the next similar incident will not be long in coming. The king approaches the girls and tells Anna that she needs to act carefully, and since the girl is now his ghost, her problems are his problems. Lev asks Anna if she wants to be his ghost. After a couple of moments, the girl admits that she wants to serve the king and be under his protection. Chris receives a message from the system that a new servant task for the lion has been activated. Since the guy turned into a golden lion, a system has appeared that makes him stronger. But nothing like this happened until Chris became the king of the Lion Mountain. The system began to send tasks and rewards for their completion. The fragments received for binding the ghost can help Chris return to his human form. Suddenly, he asks Anna how badly she wants revenge. The girl admits that the desire for retribution is great, but she will not dare to cause trouble for her king. Anna understands that she is now a ghost and has a new home, but she really wouldn't want her dead relatives to end up in the wasteland. Chris bares his teeth angrily. Because of some people, the poor child experienced so much grief at such a young age. Suddenly, the lion again uses his magical power, and a small, charming lion cub appears in front of him. Chris explains that this is his avatar and he will accompany and protect Anna. The lion blows again, and a mysterious dagger appears in a drop of magic. Chris says that this is not a simple dagger. It is incredibly sharp, and its power is the evil spirit of the king. The king notices that since the girl has a difficult path ahead, a sharp dagger will not hurt her at all. Suddenly, Wendy begins to fly around the girl, enveloping her in flames. The demon explains that on a difficult road, they will need a bright candle to illuminate their path. Having reached the village, Anna notices that after the military took away the sarcophagus, the black fog cleared. Chris's avatar thoughtfully remarks that the ghostly aura in this place is too strong. Suddenly, a little ahead, the company notices many scattered skeletons. Anna cries that all these people were killed by the black mist. Wendy wonders how a recently deceased person can turn into a skeleton so quickly. The lion cub, using the energy of the king, says that in this evil world, there should not be those who must suffer forever. Chris explains that he has cleared the sadness in the souls of the dead so they can enter the cycle of reincarnation. Having buried her neighbors, Anna hopes that they can all rest in peace. Suddenly, the avatar stops the girls with a gesture. He senses 5 armed people. The soldiers are sitting in front, having dinner and discussing how they will mock Anna when they catch her. One of the soldiers steps on the skull and says that these are the remains of her parents. She will probably come back for them. The girl is filled with wild rage. She takes out and tightly clutches a dagger in her hands. Chris stops the girl about to attack and says that someone else is approaching. Suddenly, a helicopter hovers over the soldiers and they see some shadow descending towards them along the cables. The famous Jane from the special squad jumps to the ground and asks if the eccentric scientist really only took the sarcophagus. The soldiers explain about the flower, but Jane says that the real treasure is inside the sarcophagus. According to the special agent, the sarcophagus contains the souls of 49 people who died in vain over the past 81 years. Jane takes a handful of soil from the site of the sarcophagus and says in amazement that this is the soil of 3 existences. In the cave, Chris receives a message that for discovering the soil of 3 existences, he receives the function of sinister knowledge. The king notices that with his new knowledge, he can now really see every vein in his body. Ev realizes with amazement that he can even see the aura pulsating in his veins. One of the soldiers says that he did not know how precious this soil is, and adds with a laugh that they will, of course, keep this secret. Suddenly, Jane pulls out a sword and threatens to say that only the dead can keep secrets safely. The military is furious at the obvious threats against them and decides to teach the agent a lesson. Jane turns on the magic bracelet and, having aimed the target, instantly rushes to attack. Moments later, not a single soldier is left alive, and Jane mockingly says that they were no match for her. Having cut her hand with a sword, the woman drips blood onto the soil and reasons that even the treasures of the sarcophagus cannot compare with the strength of the soil of 3 existences. Jane smugly notes that if it weren't for her idea to use the villagers, the pathetic scientist would have killed all his people, but would never have reached the sarcophagus. Anna cannot stand the woman's confessions and, shouting that everything is because of her, she rushes to the attack. Suddenly, Jane knocks her away with a powerful blow. For some reason, she was able to see the ghost. Anna subconsciously dodges the blow and then realizes that having become a ghost, there is no need to be afraid. Having stopped seeing the ghost, Jane thinks that the bracelet could not have been mistaken and reaches into the pocket of her backpack. The woman puts on her glasses and sets up a connection with the bracelet. Finally, Jane sees Anna and laughs that she is just some little ghost. Anna asks in bewilderment how Jane can see her, and then screams in rage that she will avenge the death of her parents. The girl rushes into a lightning attack, tightly clutching the dagger that Chris gave her. Anna throws a series of very fast blows, but Jane parries each one with ease. The avatar thoughtfully watches the fight. He does not understand why Jane was not scared or surprised. It turns out that this is not the first time she has met a ghost. Having suddenly received a rather strong blow, Anna wonders how this is possible, because she is just a ghost. Jane smugly replies that there are special knives that are meant for people like Anna. The ghost sees that the agent has a long blade range, but she has no other choice. She needs to dodge and try to attack. Jane powerfully grabs Anna by the neck and says that any magic or illusion is useless. Wendy tells Chris that Anna is just a little ghost who just turned. She needs help. The Avatar, whose eyes sparkle with magic, replies that for the sake of revenge, the girl herself must kill her enemy. Meanwhile, Anna, having managed to dodge another blow, appears behind Jane and puts a dagger to her throat. Chris, seeing the defeated enemy, says that Anna's first fight was good and now he sees that the girl is really a ghost. Lev explains that Jane had special glasses and a bracelet that could sense the presence of someone else's aura. That's why she saw Anna. Wendy realizes that the king deliberately released his aura to confuse the agent and allow Anna to strike. Suddenly, Jane's voice is heard behind Anna, noticing what kind of assistant the girl has. Turning around sharply, the girl is amazed to see that the special agent has been resurrected. Anna barely has time to substitute the dagger, reflecting the blow of the sword. The ghost delivers a powerful blow with a special dagger and cuts off Jane's hand. Chris examines the woman's body and wonders whether her avatar will be able to survive the death of the abandoned body. Suddenly, the spirit of three existences separates from Jane's body, and the severed hand reaches for her. Watching how the woman now wields a sword, Anna thinks that now the attack radius has increased significantly, but at the same time the speed should drop. Deciding not to wait for the spirit to come to its senses, the girl rushes to attack. Suddenly, Jane begins to turn into a terrible monster with many tentacles crawling out of her body. The tentacles grab the ghost girl, making her unable to move and defend herself. Chris thinks about it. His avatar is also a spirit, and if he gets hurt, it will be very bad. Meanwhile, the tentacles have shackled Anna's entire body and are gradually beginning to tighten around the girl's neck. Chris uses a fragment of Yang, instantly finds himself on the scene and picks up the exhausted Anna in his arms. Seeing that the reprisal against the ghost was unsuccessful, Jane begins to rage. Chris tells the girls to hold their breath, cover their ears, and try to control their heartbeat. The king emits an incredible lion's roar, the sound wave from which will not spare anyone. A powerful wave hits Jane directly, and the woman, dying, flies far to the side. The king picks up Jane's sword, examines it, and without noticing a scratch, comes to a conclusion: that the weapon is quite good. After killing Jane, the lion gains many new features and equipment. But after looking in the mirror, Chris is angry that despite all the new attributes, he still hasn't regained his human appearance. Anna bows before the lion and thanks for the help. But Chris notices that revenge is not over yet, and they still haven't figured out what kind of sarcophagus it is. Hiding his bestial face under his cloak, Chris declares that they need to go down the mountain to complete their investigation. Raising their heads, the company notices that it is almost morning and dawn is breaking. Wendy gets scared and hides under the lion's cape, screaming that she cannot appear in the sun. Before Chris had time to come to his senses, Anna was under his cape, clinging tightly to him. The king gets angry and tells the girl that she is a ghost and can inhabit anyone, for example, Jane's body. The group moves on and Chris reminds Anna that if they meet anyone, the girl should act exactly like Jane. Chris and Anna go to the helipad where the remaining soldiers are waiting for Jane. Anna announces that she has found the rock and it is time for them to go back to where they came from. After some time, the pilot reports that they have arrived in Shalene and will be landing in 10 minutes. Chris is surprised to note that, unlike the prosperous Lion Mountain, the cities fell into decay after energy was restored. The king looks at the empty city, the destroyed houses, and thinks that it all looks like an apocalypse. Having gotten rid of the soldiers, the heroes approach the huge building of the Prosperity Corporation. Wendy tells the king that in a couple of seconds he can burn everything to ashes, but the lion replies that this is just the enemy's base. Chris and Anna have to eliminate the guards as quietly as possible so as not to attract attention to themselves ahead of time. Wendy says that according to her data, the evidence they need is hidden here. The lion regretfully notes that the jacket will be too small for him. Chris turns on the divine consciousness function to see through walls. Noticing the silhouette of a girl behind the wall, the lion says that they are not the only ones who decided to sneak into the corporation today. The king opens the door and tells Anna that he will go first because he saw the girl behind the wall with a weapon. As soon as she notices that the door is opening slightly, the girl immediately shoots without hesitation. No one has time to react and the bullet hits Chris right in the heart. Anna, in a rage, pulls out a dagger and is about to attack the girl. Chris assures that he is fine and is surprised to notice that aura is used to make bullets. The girl is horrified that the bullet hit right in the heart and did not cause any damage, which means there is another awakened one in front of her. In desperation, the girl begins to shoot in all directions, not really knowing where she ends up. Tired of this useless noise, Chris makes just one snap of his fingers. At the same moment, the pistol in the girl's hands shatters into several pieces. Leo grabs the stranger's hands, preventing her from moving, and says that if she doesn't listen to him, then he won't vouch for himself. The girl indignantly realizes that this is a werewolf in front of her. What kind of animal synthesis technology did this damn corporation come up with? Chris says that the stranger is clearly not from the corporation. What is he doing here in that case? The girl replies that the damned corporation illegally seized other people's projects and she came to find evidence. Suddenly, Chris notices that there is something hidden under the girl's blouse. Without thinking twice, he snatches the paper. The king unfolds the paper and realizes that in front of him is a map with a lion mountain marked. Chris angrily thinks that his suspicions were not unfounded. They are indeed prowling his territory. Suddenly, shouts are heard in the corridor that the leader of the headquarters, Mr. Smith, has arrived. A girl in the company of two men stands at the sarcophagus and asks in bewilderment why she had to come at night and use candles instead of light. Mr. Smith, director of the Shilan branch, explains that when exposed to light, the sarcophagus can crack. Watching people, Chris and the girls decide to wait a little and see what happens next. Tom, the captain of the corporation's security service, easily throws the sarcophagus on his shoulder and is ready to carry it wherever he is ordered. Suddenly, Miss Love turns around and points towards the exit, saying that there is someone there. Chris is surprised that the woman felt his presence, which means she is also awakened. Mr. Smith, wanting to show himself off to the secretary of the corporation's president, instantly rushes to the attack. The man is so fast that Chris does not have time to respond to his blows, although they do not cause him the slightest damage. Suddenly, Mr. Smith tries to grab the king by the hood and see who dared to come to them. Now the man understands the futility of his attacks. In front of him is not just an awakened person, but a werewolf. Smith arrogantly says that the form of the beast gives additional protection, but it is unlikely to help with his light strike. The man straightens his leg with lightning speed and hits the lion in the nose. Chris has not moved a millimeter. All the bones in Smith's leg are crushed. Miss Love watches the battle thoughtfully. Doesn't understand how this is possible. If Smith has awakened rank B, he is very strong. Tom notices with pleasure that Mr. Smith is just a pitiful dog. Now the guests will not find it enough. Without hesitation, the captain swings and launches the sarcophagus at Chris with all his might. The lion, in a few leaps, catches the rarity and carefully places it on the floor. It comes to his mind to throw the treasures. Tom, focused on the fight, unleashes all the power of his muscles, which he is incredibly proud of. Running up to the king, he advises not to test his strength and calmly accept his death. Anna decides to intervene in Jane's body and hits Tom with a dagger in the chest with all her might. Suddenly, the girl realizes that the dagger is stuck. Tom says with a grin that his muscles are so powerful that no one can harm him. Tom throws Anna aside like a piece of fluff and roars that he is not vulnerable. Chris says that he agrees about the strength. But what about Tom's brains, and puts his fingers together, intending to snap him on the head. With one click, Chris knocks Tom unconscious and the thug falls to the floor with a crash. Miss Love, who watched everything that was happening, thought with disgust that she did not have assistants, but a couple of pathetic scum. Miss Love, a girl who lived on the streets, raised herself from the very bottom step by step. The girl took the position of secretary to the president of the corporation thanks to her intelligence and was able to awaken a special ability. In a languid voice, the girl says that she is very scared. Is the lion really going to attack her? It doesn't matter whether it's a person in front of her or an animal, but no one can resist their instincts and everyone becomes her puppets. The girl looks invitingly at Chris, and at the first moment is afraid that for some reason her charms did not work. Chris is engulfed in fiery flames, and Miss Love realizes that he has an imbalance of energy. His body consists only of yang energy, and its usual charms do not affect him. Then the girl decides to awaken lust in the lion and uses the highest power of seduction. Something incredible happens to Chris. He is completely engulfed in flames and has lost control of himself. Anna tries to stop the king, but he throws her aside with one blow. Miss Love understands that the lion is consumed by pure lust and it is impossible to control this. The girl is trying with all her might to return everything back and revoke her spell, but she is unsuccessful. Wendy tells a confused Anna that it is the fire of desire and His Majesty is consumed by it. The demon says that the woman has upset Chris's mental balance and now he is driven by instincts. If he does not intervene, the lion will burn her to the ground. Anna does not understand what to do, and Wendy replies that there is only one way out, to satisfy the lust of the lion. Miss Love is engulfed in flames. She is literally burning, and her only desire is to die as soon as possible. Wendy says that she knows this part of His Majesty. He is made of pure yang, so no one can bear his lust. Anna is scared. She doesn't want to just stand there and watch Chris burn to death. Wendy says that she is the goddess of candles, and any flame, spiritual or physical, must obey her. Maybe she will survive. The demon turns on the flame absorption function and begins to fly around Chris, calling on his flames. Having hugged the lion, Wendy finally absorbs its flame, taking on a very unusual appearance. Chris falls unconscious on the floor, and Miss Love, barely managing to survive, thinks about how strong a lion is if he was almost burned by his own lust. Anna runs up to the girl and, putting a dagger to her throat, orders her not to move. Chris comes to his senses, holds his buzzing head and asks in bewilderment why he went limp. Seeing Wendy, the lion is amazed at what she has become. Having absorbed his lust, the girl calms the king and says that as soon as she digests everything, she will return to her previous state. Miss Love falls to her knees before Chris, bows to his strength, asks him to spare her and promises to do whatever he commands. Chris asks why they needed the sarcophagus. What use is it? The girl admits that she does not know all the details. She only knows that this is a magical weapon of reincarnation. Miss Love heard that ancient secrets are written inside it. If you lie in it, you can know them all and be reincarnated. Chris understands that this is very dangerous. If you learn all the secrets of the sarcophagus, you can go crazy and your body will turn to dust. Suddenly, Anna turns to the king and asks him to let her try. The system message comes that the ghost's mission is completed. The chance of success in the test with the sarcophagus has been significantly increased. Anna says that her life belongs to the king, and if she does not do this, then how can she call herself his ghost? Chris thinks for a few moments and, after weighing all the risks, ultimately agrees. Anna lies down in the sarcophagus, and Chris activates the flame of the heart and the flame of the soul. Leo instructs the girl, says that if she finds herself inside and something goes wrong, then let her give a sign and he will immediately pull her out of there. The girl lies down, closes her eyes, and suddenly everything around her flares up with a bright pink flame. Anna, in her human form, finds herself on the edge of her village. On the threshold of the house, Mom and Dad wave to the girl and say it's time for dinner. Anna understands that this is a lie, that she must try with all her might not to be deceived. The girl convinces herself that this is an illusion, but cannot resist and goes to meet her parents. A blue flame burns on Chris's paw. He explains to Wendy that as long as the flame burns evenly, then everything is fine. Suddenly, Wendy announces that the sun will rise soon, and if Anna does not wake up in time, she will be bewitched. Watching the flames, Chris reports that the girl is struggling. Although the fire is still burning, it is very difficult for her to resist the spell of the sarcophagus. The king decides to intervene, touches Anna, releasing his energy, decides to return her. The girl opens her eyes, looks blankly, and then finally recognizes Chris. Wendy shouts in alarm that things are bad because the sun has already risen. Suddenly, the girl's body arches, and magical light rays pierce her from all sides. Anna opens her eyes. Instead of pupils, small golden suns shimmer in them. The ghost does not understand what is happening to her, and Wendy joyfully shouts that the girl has succeeded. The girls happily hug their king, rejoicing that at least this danger has passed. Miss Love sarcastically congratulates the heroes on their touching reunion and says that she has nothing more to do here and can leave. Suddenly, Wendy viciously grabs Miss Love by the ear and says that she will not let her leave, asking Chris what he's going to do with her. The leader thinks that the girl awakened his instincts and forced him to use a special technique, but thanks to this, his skills increased. Leo suddenly says that he needs help to become a better person until he achieves greatness. The girl is in shock. She was prepared for the most terrible punishments and never expected to hear such words. After some time, the whole company watches how beautifully the majestic corporation building burns. The next morning, Chris receives a message that the second stage of energy restoration has finally begun, and he needs to expand his boundaries as much as possible. Suddenly, an inscription appears that if Chris does not expand his territory within the allotted time, then his body will not be able to withstand the flow of aura and he will die. The king thinks that he hasn't explored his territory much before. It's time to use a special skill and try it out. Turning on the demon's consciousness, the lion is amazed that he can now see the flow of energy throughout the Lion Mountain. Suddenly, Chris notices that the golden tree is broken, but it was supposed to be guarded by lizards. Noticing a dead lizard, the king emits a menacing roar. No one dares to invade his domain and kill animals with impunity. Chris decides to follow the alien's energy trail and thus discover it. Following the flow of energy for quite a long time, the lion eventually sees some strange ground beetle that has left him. Chris is furious that some insect has knocked down the golden tree, the root of Lion Mountain's spiritual power. The golden tree blooms and bears fruit once every 10 years. And by eating its fruit, you can gain demon power for the next 30 years. The king calls his subjects, the monsters of the Lion Mountain, and calls them to go to battle. The barely alive guardian of the Golden Peak and the monster of the Lion Mountain barely recognizes his comrades. The Himalayan bear tells the king that the lizard can still be saved. Suddenly, the animals see the arthropod monsters that the king saw begin to crawl out of a hole in the ground and begin to hiss at him. Amazed by such impudence, Chris is going to attack the creatures with a lion's roar. But then, the green snake asks to be allowed to deal with the impudent insects. It is not right for the king to dirty his hands about them. The snake rushes to the attack and destroys the strange creatures one by one. The lizard, who has come to his senses, asks the king for forgiveness for not saving the tree. Chris asks where these bastards came from. It turns out that before it was an ordinary earthworm, but during the restoration of energy, it began to mutate, went berserk, and completely out of control. The snake realizes that it will not be so easy for her to cope with these creatures. While she attacks one, others attack her. The snake notices that the more creatures it kills, the more new ones come out of the hole. The snake worked hard for His Majesty day and night. The time has come to show everything that it is capable of. Triggering the transformation, the snake takes the form of a sea serpent, an incredible dragon. Using the breathcaster function, the dragon gets rid of all the creatures in an instant. The animals freeze with delight. No one has ever seen this form of a snake. Suddenly, the creatures, having come to their senses after being stunned, run into a hole. The green snake rushes after it with lightning speed, hoping to catch up with the creatures and destroy them completely. Having turned on one of the functions, Chris understands that below are the power lines of the Lion Mountain, and if they are damaged, the consequences will be dire. Having gone down into the hole with their subjects, the animals find a confused snake. The reptile reports that the creatures escaped because they were guided by their cover, and its sense of smell was interrupted by the aura of spiritual power. Having turned on the devilish consciousness, Chris understands that the first restoration took place above, and the second in the bowels of the earth. Suddenly, the lion replaces that some ancient scriptures appear on the walls. The whole place looks like a lion's den. Having walked forward, the animals see many corpses of recent creatures for which they came here. Suddenly, an incredible red Chinese umbrella appears above the mountain of corpses. The umbrella rises to reveal a young girl under it, who says that they were just in time. Suddenly, the bear sees that all his subordinates are falling to the ground. With a roar, he asks the girl if this is her doing. Red Gwen sarcastically says that she doesn't like throwing away food, but unfortunately, she can't eat it all. The bear, using all its power, rushes at the girl, but Gwen paralyzes him with one movement of her umbrella. The parrot and the white fox do not leave the commander in trouble and rush to his rescue. The girl, using an umbrella, causes a poisonous stream of smoke and gets rid of the animals, laughing that stupid animals are only good for food. Chris menacingly says that the truth is that lions do not show their full strength, which is probably why Gwen treats him like a sick kitten. The girl laughs and says that the lion is an ordinary stupid kitten. The king cannot tolerate such impudence. The famous lion's roar is heard. But Gwen opens her red umbrella, which turns out to be an impenetrable shield. Chris continues to roar, sending more and more sound waves towards the girl. Suddenly, the umbrella sharply folds and sticks into the ground next to the lion, who has fallen silent in surprise. The hidden Gwen understands that she cannot cope with the lion on her own. The question is what he is ready for the sake of his friends. Suddenly, the red umbrella opens and rises into the air, engulfed in magical red flames. Gwen uses the absorption function and all of Chris's friends begin to be sucked under the umbrella. The umbrella flies straight at the king, but the snake intercepts it and tries to destroy it. The magic of the red umbrella injures the snake, and then the Himalayan bear rushes to its rescue, using the power of wild nature. Chris remembers when he and his subjects were very young. They swore to protect each other. The king is furious and demands Gwen to let his friends go and fight him. Suddenly, the lion feels that the atmosphere has changed, and it is difficult for him to move. The king rushes at the umbrella and begins to tear it with his powerful teeth. But the villainess explains that the base of the umbrella is made of an ancient divine tree and cannot be destroyed. Leo is alarmed to hear that if he manages to break the umbrella, he will never see his comrades again. Gwen boasts that her umbrella is capable of absorbing any living being, no matter who they are, instantly turning into pus and blood. If Chris wants the witch to let his friends go, then he must be an obedient cat and lick her feet. The king is simply enraged by such impudence. He is ready to tear the girl to shreds. But first he needs to help out his friends. The girl brazenly stretches her leg towards the lion and notices that if he does not turn into a human, then without normal hands he will not be able to open the umbrella. Scenes from childhood flash before Chris's eyes. His friends were always there and were faithful to him. Gwen hurries the lion. If he doesn't hurry, his friends will turn into clots of blood. The lion has almost bowed his head to his leg. Suddenly, someone at Gwen's side forcefully grabs her red umbrella. Feeling the energy, the girl realizes that the king of beasts tricked her. All this time, his avatar was sitting in front of her. Anna and Wendy immediately fly up to Chris, shouting that they are back. The king picks up an umbrella and says that if you believe the words of the witch, you need to open the umbrella and his friends will return. The girl, in horror, reaches out to him and screams for the lion to stop and not do this. The king begins to open the umbrella and the girl's body shakes in pain. Halfway through, the umbrella gets stuck and Chris begins to pull it forcefully, not understanding what is stuck in it. Gwen's eyes roll back in unbearable pain and she begs the lion to stop. A clap is heard and the king forcefully opens his red umbrella completely. The girl screams in unbearable pain. She and the umbrella are connected by a strange magical connection. Chris's friends fall out of the open umbrella onto the ground and he takes a deep breath with relief. Wendy, having checked the condition of the animals, reports that there is nothing serious with them. They just lost consciousness and will soon come to their senses. Gwen admits that she has never met such strong enemies. She became a monster several hundred years ago, and no one has ever defeated her so easily. The girl quickly runs away, finally shouting that she will gain strength and the lion will still kneel in front of her and admit defeat. Chris and Anna decide to pursue Gwen, fearing even more trouble if she decides to return. Leaving their friends in Wendy's care, the lion and the ghost give chase. The heroes chased Gwen to the edge of the cliff, but before the abyss, the sorceress made a sharp jump and flew into the air. Chris takes a running start and takes a giant, powerful leap, pushing off the ground with all four paws. Soaring into the air with Anna on his back, Chris suddenly remembers that he does not have a flight function and falls down like a stone. Frozen in the air, Gwen shudders with laughter. It turns out that the little kitten cannot fly. Chris instantly turns on the function of the golden stream of flame and rushes at the villainess. A huge, fiery silhouette tries to grab Gwen, burning her with its flame. The girl understands that the lion has a hell of a lot of tricks and there's no point in lingering here while she's still alive. Moments later, not even a tear remains from the girl. Only one can hear from afar that she and the cat will see each other again. An upset Chris tells Anna that anything could be hidden in the umbrella and he won't feel safe since Gwen managed to escape. Anna wondered if she would ever be able to fly and if she had any powers after being in the sarcophagus. The girl remembers that she constantly heard a voice in the sarcophagus, but she cannot remember the words. Suddenly, the girl remembers that she received the gift with the help of the creatures that live in the sarcophagus. And what she heard was not words at all, but a formula for a new life. As soon as Anna remembered everything, the ghost's transformation began. The girl explains to the surprised Chris that she remembered everything, and now she can transform, and therefore asks the king to send her in pursuit of the she-devil. Lev says that Anna's new gift needs constant spiritual nourishment, and, in his opinion, the girl should train more. Chris says that the devil Gwen is not so simple, gives Anna a drop of blood surrounded by a force field, and promises that she will protect the girl. Anna is determined and assures the king that she will certainly cope with everything. Until late at night, the ghost chases the devil across the sky above the Lion Mountain. Having once again caught up with Gwen, Anna uses the lion dagger to attack the umbrella, which is used instead of a shield. The Red Devil wonders how the little ghost managed to damage her umbrella. Anna happily replies that this dagger was given to her by His Majesty, so the villainess's umbrella is absolutely useless. Gwen, without hesitation, turns on the absorption function, and Anna is instantly sucked inside the umbrella. Having fallen through time and space, the girl crashes into the wall with all her might. It turns out that an endless ancient city is locked inside the umbrella where Anna ended up. Suddenly, the girl notices how a strange fog is creeping towards her from all sides, which has a corrosive effect and corrodes her aura. Anna understands that the longer she stays in this city, the less chance she has of getting out of here alive. Suddenly, in one of the gateways, the ghost notices a bloody pile of monsters and victims. The girl runs even faster, thinking that she needs to get out of here immediately. Having run long enough, Anna again stumbles upon a bunch of monsters and does not understand why she ended up here again. The girl comes up with the idea that the most dangerous places are actually the safest, and she rushes up into the fog. But after flying through the fog, Anna crashes into the wall again. Looking around, the ghost sees that gravity has changed. The sky has become earth, and the earth has become sky. Noticing Gwen's silhouette, the girl realizes that the villain has complete control over everything that happens in the city. Anna remembers that last time everyone managed to return only after His Majesty opened his umbrella. Succumbing to despair, the girl realizes that she has again failed her king, but suddenly remembers the drop of blood that he gave her. Anna swallows a drop of blood, and suddenly her small magical dagger turns into a huge sword endowed with magical powers. The ghost understands that he cannot give up for the sake of the king, takes the sword and draws it across the wall with all his might. A deep crack appears on the wall and screams are heard that clearly indicate pain. And then Anna realizes that all of Gwen's manifestations are just an illusion, and her real body is that same red umbrella. The ghost gathers all his spiritual power and may not win this battle, but will help His Majesty get rid of the garbage. Having tuned in, Anna turns on the function of the secret deadly technique. Using an attack from above, the girl begins to smash the wall with all her might. Gwen winces in pain. Strangely, the ghost simply ignores the corrosion and continues to attack her. Anna, more like the devil, realizes that her plan is working because the fog has begun to clear. Gwen suffers more and more, but realizing that the lion is still chasing her, she knows that she cannot give up and stop now. The villainess, having turned on blood coagulation, calls for bloody warriors who stand like a wall in front of Anna. Anna indignantly thinks that these warriors are the souls of those who were swallowed up by the witch, and she is vilely using them. The girl has no choice, and she excitedly begins to destroy the warriors one by one. On Lion Mountain, Chris feels that the ghost's development is too superficial for the legacy of the gift she received. If Anna cannot control the power, the consequences will be very serious. It only took a few minutes for the ghost to get rid of the warriors and destroy everything around him. The force begins to change Anna, sparkling with bloody eyes. She understands that she does not have enough blood. She wants to kill more. Observing what is happening, Gwen understands that the demon's strength is not enough to cope with the ghost. The most sensible thing to do would be to retreat. People look ahead and realize that they have finally reached the Lion Mountain. A group of scientists rise up and reason that the government has taken away all their projects. Team leader Bing says that the second wave of recovery has begun, and now is the time to seize resources. Bing's employee fears that they might find out about their expedition, but their project was transferred to another company. Suddenly, scientists notice a strange glowing silhouette ahead. In the clearing stands the ghost of Anna, whom Gwen released from her strange city and transported to the foot of the Lion Mountain. Bing decides that he has a competitor from another company and needs to destroy her as quickly as possible. The scientist jumps and attacks Anna, who is standing motionless using an ice punch. As soon as a man reaches out his hand through the force field, the girl cuts off his hand with one lightning-fast blow. Not expecting such aggression from the little ghost girl, Bing screams in pain and horror. His henchmen, wanting to avenge their boss and show who's boss, grab their weapons and attack the girl. Just a moment later, Anna stands over the corpses and admires how wonderful the blood smells. Chris appears and tries to stop Anna and shouts that she will not be able to return to her previous appearance if she drinks human blood. But the girl is not like herself. She is completely obsessed with power and does not hear the lion. Chris sees no other way out and emits a lion's roar, spreading a powerful sound wave. Suddenly, Anna seems to split into two, one entity trying not to let go of the other. In the end, the girl falls exhausted on her side to the approaching lion. Chris, looking at the girl, thinks that he did not want such tests for her, but she will undoubtedly be able to protect herself when she becomes stronger. Inspecting the corpses of the scientists, the king notices with concern that more and more people are appearing on the Lion Mountain. Anna, who has come to her senses, asks the king for forgiveness for having once again let him down, but that witch was too strong. The lion assures the ghost that everything is fine, even though the villainess has escaped. Suddenly, Chris receives a message that he has something stuck between his teeth. The lion clears his mouth with his claws and sees that a piece of a red umbrella, a fragment of magic brocade, is stuck in his mouth. Chris wonders if this piece can be used to find Gwen, although she hides well and will not be easy to find. Having summoned a fiery torch, the lion sees that the fabric is endlessly restored, which means that even far from the umbrella, the sorceress maintains contact with him. The next morning, the animals look at the two girls with interest and thank His Majesty for the food he sent. Miss Love and Erica angrily scream for the vile animals to let them go. They are not food. Chris tells Erica that the entire group of scientists she was part of has died, killed by a demon with an umbrella. Seeing Erica's tears, the lion softly says that he could not do anything. When he arrived at the scene, the killer had already disappeared. The king, showing Anna, says that out of the entire group, only one girl is alive and asks if Erica recognizes her. Suddenly, Erica throws herself at Anna's neck and shouts that she is very glad that she is alive. The perplexed Anna understands that the girl, thanks to the parrot, is under hypnosis according to Chris's plan. The sign admits that she is not sure about the lion's plan, but if His Majesty wants her to infiltrate the corporation undercover, then it's time for him and Erica to get down from the mountain. Miss Love is upset that the two girls are simply released while she is still being held hostage. Chris explains that she should stay and help him with his practices and orders him to take the girl to the cave. The king tells the girls to take with them the fruits of the golden tree. The lion explains that all the animals will have their share because they need to make every effort to expand the territory of the Lion Mountain. The entire Lion Mountain was mobilized for the expansion operation. Their team was invincible. They quickly destroyed all the monsters in the area. The animals not only expanded their territory, but also recruited many new subordinates, thanks to which Chris became stronger. In a few days, the Lion Mountain increased by tens of kilometers. Thanks to the completion of the mission, the king receives numerous awards. Chris hopes that the meridian will soon open completely. Meanwhile, Anna infiltrated the corporation as a spy for the construction and engineering group. 60 kilometers from the Lion Mountain, on the Baihu Ridge, sits a white mountain tiger with his minions. Turtle notices that Lion Mountain has become very active lately, and their borders have almost reached their ridge. White Tiger calmly says that they should take advantage of the second stage of energy restoration. But they cannot come empty-handed. They need to prepare a gift for the meeting. Chris looks at the statistics with pleasure. Now he can fully master the skills of collecting chi and repelling the mountain, and he also has a yang fragment. Suddenly, a notification arrives that one of the territories has been lost. Chris from the mountain shouts to the bear about the loss of territory and orders an immediate investigation. Lev does not understand what is happening. There were no problems from that territory. Perhaps the system failed. The king admits that he might have missed something and decides to inspect the territory himself. Messages about the loss of territories come one after another. Chris understands that most likely this is some kind of diversionary maneuver. Turning on the demon's consciousness, the king penetrates underground and sees thousands of earth rats. The king uses the resistance of the mountain and the shaking of the earth. A huge crack appears on the ground. Looking into the widening crack, the animals see not thousands, but millions of rats. The green snake says that there weren't so many rats here before. They are her clan's favorite treat and therefore target their aura. Suddenly, the rats unite in an organized stream and rush to attack the company of animals. The beasts turn on all their functions: wild power, feathered arrows of the universe, and the snake is simply trying to eat as many rats as possible. Suddenly, the rats are pulled into some strange whirlpool, forming a large tower. Moments later, the Rat King appears in front of the animals in full form. A huge beast destroys everything in its path, and the lion orders the animals to flee. Turning around, Chris lets out a lion's roar, releasing a powerful beam of light. The beam instantly pierces the Rat King's body right in the middle. The mountain white tiger, observing the events with a grin, notices that the lion has strong destructive power. But this is not enough. The defeated Rat King disintegrates into millions of ordinary rats. The rats run underground at great speed through the crack created by the Lion King. Chris notes that the rats themselves are weak, but they thrive in numbers, and it would be great if they were hit by an earthquake. The tiger ironically remarks that mountain rats live under the entire earth of the rock, and why doesn't the lion just lift the lion mountain? Chris triggers the earth's yeast function, hoping to kill the rats in this way. But at some point, the lion realizes that the rats have penetrated too deep, and his attempt will not lead to success. Suddenly, the animals all gather up and without hesitation rush to attack for their king and their home. The snake notices that her clan knows the mountain rats better than anyone. They are social animals. They deliberately unite only for some purpose. Moving deeper, the reptile says that when hunting rats, they run away and they can only unite into one formation. Rats can unite only in order to become the Rat King. The bear notices that Chris has already killed the king. But the snake says that that Rat King was just a collection of mice, and she talks about their boss. Only by exterminating the Rat King will they be able to win. Suddenly, the snake notices a huge rat and, using a poisonous bite, rushes at the rat. Noticing that the behavior of the other rats has not changed, the snake realizes that it was not the Rat King, but just a large individual. The armadillo notes that if the rat boss wants to hide, then he won't show himself so easily. Suddenly, the rats penetrate even deeper into the ground and begin to frantically gnaw on the most important thing. Chris is furious. The rats have reached the meridians, and it's only a matter of time before they damage them irreversibly. Bear tells Miss Love that Lion Rock has been taken over by rats, and the ruler wants her to find the Rat King. The lion explains to the perplexed girl that she needs to help find the king of the rats, and then activate Chris's bestial lust. Miss Love remembers well how the lion's lust turned out last time and does not want to repeat it again. Chris shouts that he has no time to explain. He will be able to completely control his instincts. The girl obeys the king, but feels very strange seeing Chris in lion form. The fire engulfs the beast. He feels incredible energy, but this time he really has everything under control. Chris turns on the divine fire function. He uses his meridians underground to look as deep as possible. The king now sees all the rats and thinks that now he has enough strength to burn them all. Watching his opponent's actions, the mountain tiger notices with a grin that he relaxed early. Letting out a roar, the tiger shouts menacingly that the real horror that mountain rats bring is just beginning. Chris, watching the rats, angrily realizes that they continue to bite the veins of the earth. The king does not know what to do. Neither he himself nor his subjects can penetrate as deep as the rats. The lion is afraid that he will not be able to protect the entire Lion Mountain. Chris reflects and realizes that he has only one option left. Leo uses the full distribution of the function of demonic authority. Chris looks around with pity and realizes that because of the connected function, he injured his friends. Suddenly, a green snake jumps out from under the ground. Fortunately, it managed to avoid injury. Chris reasons that looking for the Rat King is like looking for a needle in a haystack. The king was able to suppress his powers for a while, but this time is limited. Rushing forward, the lion thinks that initially his task was to expand the territory and not to resist the Rat King. Chris is confident that after completing the system's task, he will be able to master the return of 10,000 QE and the shift of a mountain. With these functions, he will be able to expel the enemy. Running to the border of his territories, the king tells the snake that the key to everything is the mountain white tiger. The tiger, realizing that he has been discovered, shouts that he is giving a counterfight to his opponent. Two formidable rivals face each other. A battle is inevitable. The tiger senses that the Lord of the Lion Mountain has supernatural powers and is an excellent opponent. Chris feels the aura changing. Disasters are resuming. The mountain tiger is well prepared. A difficult battle lies ahead. Rivals rush to attack and almost simultaneously emit roars that emit a powerful sound wave. Two magical waves collide with each other, no less powerful. Suddenly, at the sight of the collision of energies, a powerful explosion is heard, blinding everyone around. Predators, looking at each other, understand that each of them has demonic prestige. Both rivals and their assistants rush towards each other with the only thought of killing the enemy. The tiger jumps first and, in a rage, unleashes a powerful blow on his opponent. The lion unexpectedly dodges and responds by hitting his opponent with a Beastmaster strike. The tiger flies back and wonders how this is possible. He did not expect that the lion had enough strength to resist him. The lion's strength lies in the fact that he was previously human, and this is the second time his energy has been restored. The tiger does not give up. Having run up, He attacks the enemy again, and this time the blow reaches the target. Chris is furious. It turns out that his opponent has the same abilities as himself. Having made a lightning-fast jump, he activates his power and hits the tiger with a backhand. Enemies begin to attack each other with such speed that only sparkling magical lightning is visible. Chris, without stopping for a second, thinks about the fact that this is the first time he has met such a strong opponent. The white tiger understands that it is useless to hit the opponent and activates a strike of 5 lightning bolts. Green Snake watching the battle. She understands that she cannot get into this fight, but she must somehow help her master. The snake takes the form of a dragon, enraged, thinking that someone dared to fight against its king. Releasing the dragon's most powerful roar, the reptile hides its master from the eyes of its opponent. His pet turtle comes to the aid of his tiger and activates the capture function. A stork attacks the dragon from above and says that if she really wants to fight, then let him attack them with the turtle first. The lion is distracted by the snake, but the tiger doesn't let him go, grinning and declaring that Chris doesn't have time to worry about others. Running up, the tiger releases its sharp claws and attacks the king of the Lion Mountain directly in the side. Chris is furious. Since the beginning of the battle, he has activated only half of his power. But now it's time to teach the enemy a lesson, leaving him no chance. But suddenly, the lion receives a message from the system that his strength, speed, and endurance are blocked. The tiger mockingly says that the lion is scared, and as long as this fear is present in his soul, he cannot defeat the tiger. This is his ability. Chris suddenly feels the power of demonic pressure. He does not understand what is happening. Everything is split in two before his eyes. Bullying is the mockery of the strong against the weak, but the weak are not born to obey the strong. As long as the victim feels fear, then even if he is stronger and larger, nothing will change. This is the law of nature. Using the power of pressure more and more powerfully, the tiger in a rage orders to feel the power of the ruler. Chris realizes that he cannot use his techniques. All because of the tiger's soul, the lion is completely under his influence. Leo decides that the safest thing for now is to keep his distance. But the tiger does not let go of his enemy. Having made a powerful leap, the opponent flies a long distance and finds himself in front of the astonished lion. Chris resists with all his might, repels endless attacks, and strikes himself. Receiving messages from the system, the king is amazed to see that the attributes, although blocked, continue to increase. At this time, the dragon continues to fight with the tiger's assistance, but suddenly feels cold and a strange heaviness in her body, which prevents her from moving, but she is not going to give up. The dragon flies into the air, and the turtle realizes that this is already beyond its capabilities. But in the air, a fast stork begins to attack the dragon. The dragon orders him to get out of the way. But the stork, with its sharp beak, pierces the dragon's body with all its might and flies through it. Taunting, the stork reveals that the turtle is the protection of the white tiger, and the dragon has already fallen under its influence of the dark water technique, which dissipates energy. The dragon realizes that she has only one trump card left and summons a dragon storm. The turtle sees that thunderclouds are gathering in the sky and decides that the dragon wants to hide in this way. Distracted by the thunderstorm, the turtle does not notice the dragon. Otherwise, it wraps itself around the body of its rival, depriving it of the ability to move. The dragon sinks its teeth into the shell, but the turtle understands the futility of this, because its shell absorbs all attacks. But the dragon did not even think about trying to bite through the shell. With a sharp movement, she knocks over the turtle, depriving it of the opportunity to stand up. The turtle is unable to turn around, and then he realizes that the fog enveloping him is poisonous. Hearing that the turtle is being attacked, but not seeing what is happening because of the fog, the stork flies down with all speed, intending to attack the dragon. The stork does not hear the desperate cries of the turtle that the dragon is not in the fog and pierces the neck of his comrade in arms with all his might. The fog clears and the stork realizes with horror that with his attack he decapitated the turtle. The approaching dragon instantly launches an attack and, thinking that even a spear will break without protection, deals with the bird. Chris needs to think, and he activates a golden vacuum around himself, which reflects all the attacks of the tiger. The tiger in a rage bites and scratches the golden ball. He is perplexed, because while the animals are under his pressure, they cannot resist. Suddenly, Chris turns to his opponent and calmly asks if he really has the same system. The tiger does not understand what we are talking about. He cannot believe that he cannot break the lion. Determined to use its full potential, the mountain beast summons a forceful thunderstorm. All of Chris's fur becomes electrified and stands on end. The lion does not understand what the enemy is up to. With a die cry, the tiger activates the thunder of the western skies and sends a terrifying blow straight at the opponent. Hearing the lion's roar, the tiger shouts in rage that his rival must disappear. At the sight of the hellish blow where the lion stood, a giant crater formed in the ground. Noticing the floating golden ball, the tiger thinks with confusion that from the force of the impact and the power of the temperature, the shield should have cracked. The ball suddenly picks up speed and soars into the air with a hiss. A lion appears next to the ball, which during this time has managed to transform. The tiger is perplexed how the lion was able to remain unharmed and what kind of golden ball it is. Chris receives a message about receiving a demonic pill and now has access to a level 1 thunderstorm strike. Ominous thunderclouds gather above the lion's head. The white tiger is the first to decide to take advantage of the thunderstorm. Seeing the flying lightning, the king decides to take advantage of the movement of the mountain and create a barrier to allow electricity to pass into the ground. Receiving an offer from the system to use the pill, Chris understands that the system itself created it, and he has a chance to survive this storm. Having received a powerful lightning strike, the lion tells the tiger that by doing so, his opponent only filled his demonic pill. But the enemy does not give up. The tiger flaps its wings and flies towards the king with the desire to kill him. The tiger strikes with all its might straight into the jaw of the self-confident lion, who was not expecting such a straightforward blow. Chris hits the ground with all his might and shakes his head for a long time, trying to come to his senses. Leo sees that despite the fact that he was able to use the pill, all his indicators remained blocked. The king remembers the words of the turtle that as long as there is even a grain of fear in front of the tiger, the enemy will not be able to defeat him. The same abilities are inherent in Miss Love. No matter whether the person in front of her is a person or an animal, if the individual is male, he will become her slave. Realizing that the effect of the pill has ended, the tiger releases a thunderous roar of light at its opponent. But the lion uses protection like a Faraday cage and easily endures the attack. Chris notices that the power of thunder no longer affects him, and despite his suppression skills, the tiger can no longer control him. The lion releases an expanded golden vine, which instantly entwines its opponent. The mountain predator did not expect such an attack so much that at the first moment it could not even resist. The vine, flaring up with hellish flames, fetters the tiger more and more tightly, depriving him of even the slightest opportunity to move. Suddenly, in the distance, the tiger notices the Rat King and calls for his subject. At the same instant, hordes of rats appear, dotting the ground with a continuous living carpet. The lion is furious. Calling on fire magic, he decides that it is time to end this battle. The tiger smiles contentedly. The Lion Mountain is directly connected with its king, and if it is damaged, then the lion also suffers. The predator orders the Rat King to start gnawing away at the Lion Mountain. Suddenly, the Rat King approaches Chris and asks in surprise if it is him. The lion remembers that many years ago, a green snake started hunting a little rat. Having driven the rodent into Chris's cave, the snake began to scour there in search of prey. The lion was the first to catch the little rat. The snake said that if so, then the prey undoubtedly belonged to the ruler. But the king says that under the influence of energy, the rat has mutated like other animals, and he does not want to eat a creature with spiritual wisdom. The little rat frantically thanks his master and promises that the day will come when he will be able to repay in full. And now in front of Chris stands the same little rat who became the king of the rats. The lion thoughtfully remarks that the Rat King is now under the influence of the white tiger. But the little rodent bravely declares that the moment has come when he can return his debt to his majesty. The rodent presses its fingers to its head and mentally calls on its fellows to become more active and return to their territory. The mountain tiger is furious. Like some pathetic rodent has decided to betray him and go over to the side of the enemy. The giant force of the tiger begins to put pressure on the rat. The rodent's nose bleeds from the tension, but he does not give up. The tiger confidently says that the rodent is already under his influence and will not be able to resist him. So the only thing the rat can do is obey the tiger's orders. Chris states that the true ruler is the one who cares about his people, is the bearer of their will, and the tiger will never become one. The lion threateningly says that instead of relying on threats and violence, the tiger should try something better. The king of Lion Mountain uses demonic power with the function of purification, leaving no chance for the opponent. But the mountain beast does not give up. It uses the same power, but with the function of suppression. Calling on all their might and strength, the rivals confront each other with all their strength. The little Rat King is trying his best to resist the pressure, because if he loses consciousness, the rats will continue to attack the Lion Mountain. Suddenly, the white tiger, having lost its influence over another of its subjects, falls to the ground exhausted. Chris receives messages about defeating the tiger and conquering new territory. The Rat King, having gotten rid of oppression, turns on the rat call, the recall function. On Lion Mountain, a bear and a parrot watch in amazement as the rats leave the bowels of the earth and scatter in different directions. The lion and the rat, completely exhausted, slowly wander away when suddenly the voice of a tiger is heard behind them. The tiger slowly approaches the heroes, hanging his head low. Chris turns around in horror. Is the opponent really alive? The lion has no more strength to attack. The predator says that he must bow his head before his master. From now on, the lion will be the king and the tiger his queen. The lion and the rat are completely amazed whether the mountain white tiger really turned out to be a tigress. Tigress asks Chris if the queen's place next to him is still taken. The king is completely demoralized, but he is definitely not going to start a family in the body of a lion. At the entrance to the ruins of the Red Umbrella, people who arrived by car and arrived by helicopter gather. Anna and Erica are part of a research team sent to the ruins. A large research group heads inside the cave. The girls, expecting danger at any moment, keep their weapons ready. Tony hands Anna his gun and says that times have changed and you need to choose your weapon wisely. The group approaches some strange stone blocking the passage. One of the guys says that according to the radar, there should be a large space behind the stone. Suddenly, a strange stone begins to rotate at breakneck speed. Tony, confidently relying on his strength, rests his hands on the stone and tries to move it from its place. To increase his strength many times over, the guy transforms into a ferocious wild boar. The beast begins to squeeze the stone with all its might, and at some point it cracks. There is a crash. The stone bursts in half and a huge larva of some beetle falls out of it. At the same moment, large bats fly out of the open passage and attack Tony. Erica, using aura bullets, begins shooting at the bats. The boar exhales with relief and naively thinks that the girl saved him solely out of personal sympathy. The group moves further, and a large cave with a huge geisha castle opens before their eyes. Geishas begin to look out from the rooms of the palace and joyfully shout that they have guests. Looking at one of the girls, Anna thinks she sees a familiar face. Tony's eyes light up with a strange flame, and he rushes forward towards the girls. The group leader stops him and tells him to be careful. But the boar is clearly under the influence of some kind of spell. He rushes towards one of the geishas, not noticing anything around. At one point, other geishas surround the men and begin to lure them into the castle. Suddenly, a strange fog appears around Tony, creeping into his nose and mouth. Instantly sobering up, Tony looks into the geisha's devilish eyes and realizes that she is sucking the yin energy out of him. The boar gradually loses its animal appearance and shouts to the commander, asking for help. Geisha, having stopped pretending to be girls in love, attack men with poisonous fog. The group commander, who did not succumb to the spell, rushes to the men's defense, but one of the girls tries to stop him. The commander glows with magical power, pushes the girl away and shouts that their spirits cannot defeat him. The geisha knows that even the most persistent men cannot resist their charms and continues to seduce. The commander begins to shake. The blood rushes and he realizes that he is holding on with all his strength. Anna thinks that all this is happening not far from the Lion Mountain, so she urgently needs to inform the ruler. The girl begins to take on the form of a ghost in the hope of flying away, but then one of the geishas grabs her hand. Anna turns around in surprise and realizes that the geisha is absorbing her spirit. The girl looks intently at Anna and says that since she has come, there is no turning back. Meanwhile, on Lion Mountain, the tigress has seriously decided to mate with the lion and dreams that their offspring will be the strongest of all. Chris doesn't know how to avoid the awkward situation and makes the excuse that he first needs to deal with the current turmoil. Suddenly, one of the burning candles changes its appearance and alarmingly reports that things are bad. The flame turns into Wendy, who reports that Anna's heart, which she is holding in her hands, is gradually disappearing. Chris lights the holy fire to see for himself what happens to his ghost. In the fire, the king sees how two girls as part of a group penetrate the ancient ruins. Then everything disappears. The king decides to personally figure everything out. Spending a fragment of yin, Chris is once again reincarnated, having changed his appearance quite significantly. Tigress understands that while white tigers transform into divine beasts, Chris gradually turns into a human. Tigress only wants the king to be obsessed, and it seems to her that there is only one way to get what she wants. The geisha holds Anna tightly by the hand and quickly flies towards the castle. On the way, Erica manages to grab the ghost's hand, and now the geisha is already carrying the two of them. Landing in front of the castle, the girls hear a voice from one of the balconies greeting them. Anna stares at the girl upstairs and finally realizes that this is Red Gwen. The villainess also recognizes Anna and shouts in anger what the hell the girl is doing here. Without hesitation, Anna takes on a devilish form and, having enlarged the dagger to the size of a sword, immediately rushes into the attack. The girls' hatred for each other is so strong that lightning begins to spark between them. Anna threatens that now she will take revenge on the villain for everything. But Gwen is amazed at her impudence. A ghost has invaded her house and is threatening her. Erica realizes that her eyes simply do not have time to follow the lightning-fast movements of the two girls, so she sees only bright flashes of light. The other geisha, in horror, demand to stop the fight. If the noise disturbs their mistress, then no one will care. Suddenly, Anna and Gwen freeze as a cry is heard from under the arch of the cave, demanding that the battle be stopped. The doors open, and Beth, the head of the geisha pavilion in the ancient ruins, appears on the threshold. Anna feels such powerful demonic energy from her mistress that she even finds it difficult to breathe. There is clearly something wrong with Madame Beth. She has been cultivated for 1,000 years. Realizing that in a fight with Beth, Anna will be left without a soul, she abruptly sits down on her knees, asks for forgiveness for the outrages, and asks to let her and Erica go. Madame Beth laughs. The girls are so young that they haven't even really learned to talk. The mistress says that she will let the girls go, but only if they help her leave here too. Beth says that her soul is tied to this place, and Anna's abilities can help her find freedom. The mistress invites the girls inside. Anna and Gwen clearly find it difficult to bear each other's presence. Beth says that she was a young heiress from a wealthy family, but her family took part in the uprising and lost everything. The girl was sold to this brothel. On the very first evening of her stay in the brothel, the young girl found a client. Deep down, Beth was too innocent for such a place and was ready to commit suicide. And she never expected that it was in this place and on this evening that she could fall in love at first sight. The guy was also from a good family. He was in a hurry to the city for exams, but his friends tricked him into a brothel. That night, young people sang, talked about the past and present, and played musical instruments. The guy was smart, educated, and had all the qualities of a real gentleman. Before Beth had time to come to her senses, she had fallen hopelessly and completely in love with the young man. The guy wanted to take the girl with him, but time was pressing on him. He had to rush to the exams. As a souvenir, the young man left a golden celestial umbrella, which was considered a relic in his family, and he never returned. The girl continued to serve clients until one day it all ended in tragedy. And then Beth decides to die because it's simply impossible to continue like this. The girl's blood completely soaked the zone, turning it bright red, and Beth, overcome with indignation, turned into evil spirits. Anna asks with interest what happened next, how Beth became what she is now. Beth continues that then her young man returned. He became the leader of the civilians and military, received the post of general, and came for Beth. When the guy found out about the death of his beloved, in a fit of rage, he killed everyone in the geisha pavilion. And then the man burned one of the buildings of the old pavilion to the ground. The man called the monk to try to summon the girl's soul. The monk used a special book to protect Beth's body and to protect it from rotting. He also locked his soul in it. Since then, the man tried his best to bring the girl back to life, but he died himself, unable to find a way out. Beth explains that her energy was later restored. Leaving her body, she turned into a ghost and then became a spirit bound to the pavilion. The souls of the other girls are also trapped in this place. The mistress cannot leave here, so from time to time she sends them to suck out souls to maintain hers. Anna says that souls become attached to a place because of unfinished business, and in order to help Beth leave the pavilion, she needs to complete her business. Suddenly, Anna asks if Beth wants to see that man again. The demon replies with a categorical refusal. The lady calmly says that thousands of years have passed and she has not been interested in men for a long time. Beth says that she can leave the castle if she gets rid of the book. Then she will be free. The lady notes that if Anna helps her become free, she will send the book to her master, which will provide good help. Beth reveals that Gwen also became a demon because of her resentment from a certain point of view, the girl, another part of the mistress herself. Anna is perplexed that Beth knows about Gwen's crime on Lion Mountain, but still asks the ghost for help. The lady says that according to Gwen, the lion and company drove the girl out of her cave. But not all of the Lion Mountain belongs to the king. The geisha have been here for several thousand years. Approaching her coffin, the lady says that it is better to simply make many enemies than to turn a futile battle into hell. Anna and Erica look into the coffin and are amazed to notice what a beautiful girl lies in it and seems to be just sleeping. Anna, without any hesitation, reaches out to the book, but at the same moment it simply disappears. Beth says with irritation that the book cannot be taken just like that. It was necessary to use the powers. This book not only locked the soul of the lady, but also protects the body, which is in the gap between yin and yang. Anna admits that she previously used the powers she received only on herself, and does not know if she can use them on anything else. Gwen suddenly explodes that the ghost didn't say this before, because now the book will trigger a defense mechanism. Beth says that no one knows what kind of protection this is, because for thousands of years no one has approached her body, and those who came immediately had their souls sucked out. Suddenly, the geishas who came along with the heroes turn into some kind of demonic entities. Emitting wild screams, the demons rush to attack the girls, protecting the book and the body of the mistress. Anna instantly rushes to the attack, scattering the demons in different directions. Erica starts shooting at the demons, hoping that special bullets will be able to stop them. One of the bullets blows off half of the demon's head, but the former geisha remarks with a grin that it won't hurt her. The demon is chasing Erica, is about to attack, and the girl realizes that she has no chance of salvation. But suddenly Gwen comes to Erica's aid and throws the demon far to the side with her red umbrella. Gwen asks Beth if she can stop the demons, since they are her subjects. Beth notes with regret that the geisha are controlled by something else and she cannot take control of them. In order to destroy the demons, she needs to get to the book. Gwen yells at Anna that all the problems are because of her. If the girl hadn't ruined the geisha's umbrella, she would have gotten everyone out of here long ago. Beth asks Anna to try again. Only this time she needs to use her powers. There is no other way out. Anna confidently approaches the coffin and asks Gwen to cover her so that the demons do not interfere with her. The girl resolutely approaches the book, wondering what she can do to destroy it. Anna uses reality blurring and releases her spirit. After a while, the girl's eyes light up with a magical fiery light, and Anna realizes that she has found a way out.